You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the Giants complete the sweep at Oracle Park as they top the Colorado Rockies 5-4. The 6 different pitchers in today's bullpen game for the Giants combined for 11 punchies and just 1 walk. Pretty solid stuff from this unit that has been heavily used and abused all season long, but it was really the offense that lifted the Giants to a win today as they tallied 13 hits and a passable 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Could always be a little bit better, but we'll take a 300 batting average with runners in scoring position any day of the week with this Giants squad. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you get the show, we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. This show is sponsored by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. As I said, this was another bullpen game for the Giants, and bullpen games are probably my least favorite type of baseball game. But nonetheless, the Giants still played pretty well, and the bullpen did their job. I mean, 11 punchies and only 1 walk is really, really solid. An 11-1 strikeout to walk ratio is, I mean, like the stuff of legends if you can continue that for the rest of the season. Obviously, that would be a lot to ask. But one guy who has been pretty consistent out of this bullpen, especially in these bullpen games, is Erik Miller. The rookie reliever, I mean, kind of gets lost in the mix with everything else going on in that bullpen with this Giants team. I mean, you got all the the up and not controversy, but up and down year of Camilo Doval at the back end of the bullpen. And maybe he's on the trading block. Maybe he's on his way out. And then you have, of course, Rodgers being used in leverage situations, Walker being used in leverage situations. Miller is kind of the other guy who's used in a lot of these moments, these gotta have it moments, but he doesn't get nearly the love that all these other relievers do. And even amongst the rookie relievers, I feel like we talk about Randy Rodriguez, or we hear a lot more about him than we do Erik Miller. And Erik Miller's just been a steady, rock-solid guy all season long for the Giants, with like the exception of the first, 2 weeks, week and a half of the season where he really didn't have a great start to the year. But you saw the electric stuff that he had. I mean, it's so hard to hit this guy's changeup, and he's been really solid all year long. Has a very high ground ball rate, 52.3% of the time he is getting a ground ball. He's also getting strikeouts at a 28.9% clip. That's, again, really, really solid. And getting a whiff rate right around 30. I mean, this guy's really good. All those rate in like the top 15% of Major League Baseball players. He's very, very solid on the bump for the Giants, especially in these bullpen games. And today he set the tone with 2 strikeouts and a fly ball in that first inning, a quick 1-2-3. And that's what we've come to expect from this guy. He has in games where he starts as the opener, the Giants are 6-4. It's not great, but it's a lot. I mean, if they continued that, winning percentage throughout the rest of the season, their record would be astronomically better than it is right now. I'm not saying that we need to have bullpen games every day. Slow down. But I'm saying Erik Miller in a bullpen game as the starter clearly isn't a bad option, sets the table pretty well. He's also in these games. This is coming into today, so this got even better after today's outing. In these bullpen game outings, he has a 0.93 ERA with 9 strikeouts as the opener, and now he's got 11 strikeouts, and that ERA probably drops just a smidge more as he had another perfect inning out there. No hits, no runners on base. Erik Miller did a great job setting the table for the Giants. And defensively for the Giants, the first 3 innings went very similarly. The 2 strikeouts and a pop fly for the first 3 innings of this game defensively for the Giants. Great start. Meanwhile, offensively, bottom 1, Casey Schmidt in today. The Giants gave a lot of their everyday starters some rest time today. No Ramos, no Lamont Wade Jr. Brett Wisely came in as a pinch hitter later in this game, but he did not start. So the Giants had a lot of the B squad in today. You had David VR playing first base, and you had Casey Schmidt playing second, and Casey doesn't get a lot of at-bats. His time to shine seemed to be more last year than this year. Hasn't really gotten the same opportunity this season, but he gets one here and he makes the most of it. Smokes one to left field, puts it into the bleachers, low in the zone, but a great swing to go down and get it. Dude has just so much power in that swing. Casey Schmidt doesn't seem to know how to swing for singles or contact. All this guy knows how to do is swing out of his shoes every single time, and that's what he did here. It paid off. Giants 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first, and then in the top of the second, Erik Miller came out of the game for Randy Rodriguez, who gave the Giants another 1-2-3 inning with a fly ball and 2 strikeouts. Great inning from Randy Rodriguez. Then in the bottom of the second, Michael Conforto doubles, Hill triples, and gives the Giants a 2-0 lead. Hill has been pretty nice since he's been on this Giant squad. He plays an okay center field. I mean, it's just another outfield guy that can force a guy like Michael Conforto off of this team. And Michael Conforto had a decent day today, as I said, led off that little rally in the bottom of the second with a double. But Conforto's got to be probably the number one guy that you ship off of this team at the trade deadline. He and Mike Yastrzemski are almost carbon copies of each other. And Michael Conforto just hasn't really had that solid of a year. He's batting right around 220. He had a nice game today. Hopefully that bolsters his value. Even just a tiny bit before the trade deadline. I think he's got to be the number one guy to go. I mean, even if you just get a prospect down in AA or something back for him, I think that that's something you should do. Conforto's not really going to help this team the rest of the way this season, and he's not re-signing at the end of the year. So time to move on for Michael Conforto. If you're the San Francisco Giants, I very much so assume that that's something they're going to do. They've been, the Mets have been linked to potentially shopping around and trying to, they apparently like the idea of a reunion with Michael Conforto, so that might not be a terrible option for the Giants to explore. I'm sure they're doing their due diligence as we speak right now. As I said, Hill tripled after the Conforto double, gave the Giants a 2-0 lead, and then Soler comes up with a ground rule double, scores Hill from third base. Giants lead 3-0. That was the fourth game. All 4 games of this series, the Giants had a triple, and they were finally able to get the guy in from third on this one. This was, all series long, they've been hitting triples and then stranding the runner at third. This time, they get him in. Soler drives him in with that ground rule double. Although Soler gets left on base in scoring position in this one as well. The Giants actually stranded runners in every single inning today. But hey, when you put that many base runners on, you had 13 hits and you drew another 1 walk. You had 14 base runners in today's game. You can afford to strand some runners. You don't have to score every single one of those 14 runners on base, although it would be nice for them to occasionally put up a crazy number like that. But that's just not who this team is. A 5-run game from the Giants is pretty solid for this team. All year long, that's kind of been the mark. If they score 5 or more runs, they win a lot of games. They're 33. Let's see. When they score 5 or more runs, they are 33-8. So this team wins when they score 5 or more runs. It's been the same way all season long. For what it's worth, when they score 4 or more runs, they're 42-19. So that's also a marker for this team. The pitching has been pretty solid all year long. It's been up and down at times, but there's never been really too long of a stretch where all the wheels in both the bullpen and all the starting pitchers just completely fell off. Logan Webb has still been pretty solid. There was a moment where he was pretty much the only healthy arm out there, and then you had Jordan Hicks struggling to stay alive and stay afloat as a starting pitcher. He has now officially moved to the bullpen. We saw him today come out and make an appearance for the Giants later on in this one. We'll get to that. But in the top of the third, Tovar doubled. Blackman singled to right and scored Tovar. Giants still led, however, 3-1. Did you really think 3 runs was going to be enough to win this one? I sure as hell did it. And then in the bottom of the fourth, the Giants had another great opportunity, but with the bases loaded and 2 outs, with Tyler Fitzgerald batting, the crowd on its feet, ready for Fitz to show a little more magic for us, he struck out looking with the bases loaded. So that was a tough at bat for Fitzgerald. He knew it immediately, turned to walk back to the dugout before the ump even called strike 3. And that kid is just kicking himself for not swinging at that pitch. He was obviously looking for something else, and that's not what he got up there. So the Giants missed that opportunity. Then in the top of the 6th, Jordan Hicks comes in, makes his appearance for the Giants out of the bullpen as a reliever. Immediately gives up a 2-out single, and it allows a run to score. Giants Still led, though, however, 3-2 after that little rally by the Rockies. Then in the bottom of the 6th inning, the Rockies had the Giants. They were ready to get out of this inning, and with 2 outs, ground ball to third base. It was a tough play, sharp ground ball, and Hill was running on contact with 2 outs. And McMahon tries to lay down the tag right as soon. It was a bang play. Right as soon as he fielded it, he went to lay down the tag in one motion, like one swoop. And Hill, who was Superman diving in the process of trying to get into third base, when McMahon lays down the tag, the ball squirts out of the glove, can't squeeze it. Ball kicks away from him, meaning Hill is safe at third base. He didn't he didn't give him like an A-Rod, like swing at the glove or anything like that. He was just straight diving into the base, and McMahon tried to lay down the tag and couldn't manage to do it. Hill being safe at third gives the Giants another batter in the inning, which means Matt Chapman has a chance and delivers a base hit with the bases loaded and 2 outs to score 2 more runs and give the Giants a 5-2 lead. That ended up being a massive play in this game. That was the difference in this one, as the Giants ended up surrendering 2 more runs. Jordan Hicks in the top of the 7th gave up a home run on a Toglia blast the opposite way to the left field bleachers. Sinker left up high in the zone, didn't sink a whole heck of a lot, and Toglia jumped all over him. Man, that's a big, strong dude out there. He just rips that ball all over the place, and he made Jordan Hicks pay. He's been very susceptible to homers lately, and hopefully he figures that out. Again, his pitching today was much different than we've seen when he's been successful. His success this season came a lot, especially earlier in the season, on that splitter. And today, he barely threw it. He only threw it 6 times. He only had 35 pitches, but he threw it 6 times. Just 17% of his pitches were splitters, and it was average at best. I mean, he got 2 swings and misses on it. It was okay. I mean, he didn't get a ton of hard contact off of it either. The hardest ball hit off of that splitter was 73 miles an hour. It wasn't terrible. It was an okay outing with the splitter, but very different from what he used to do just earlier this season, not that long ago. He's now basically become a sinker sweeper guy, and that's, I mean, it makes him a little less dimensional. That extra dimension of the splitter is what made it so hard, because the splitter sweeper tunnel looks the same coming out of the hand. One of them drops off the table and one of them just slides all over the place. Also, the sinker has a little bit of inside run on it, a little bit of arm side action, and the splitter just drops off the table. Those 2 pitches also look very similar out of his hand. So now when you're just looking at chasing, when your 2 options are sinker sweeper, you kind of get a little bit of a better guess than if it's sinker, sweeper, splitter, because especially when you're looking, you can kind of get the difference of sweeper, or maybe it's a splitter or a sinker out of the hand. But when you take away the option of the splitter, you only got 2 guesses, and that makes it a lot easier for hitters at the plate to guess right. And Toglia guessed right on that sinker for sure and put it into the bleachers. Jordan Hicks just doesn't look the same, man. And it's a bummer, because this guy looked so dominant at the beginning of this year. And if you've paid attention to his advanced metrics at all, if you're looking at his Baseball Savant page at the beginning of the year, I'm not a smart guy. I'm not going to pretend like I know what all these numbers mean, because I don't. I'm not a math guy, but I do know that when all these bars on his Baseball Savant page are full and red, that means he's pretty good at that thing. But when I'm looking at his Baseball Savant page right now, I only see 1 bar that's red and the rest of them are blue, which is pretty bad, man. I don't got to be too smart to tell you guys, blue, cold, red, hot. And right now, Jordan Hicks is about as cold as he can get. He has been just free falling in recent starts. His expected ERA is up to 4.82 in the bottom 16% of the league. I mean, the only thing he's really doing well right now is getting ground balls, and that's what's keeping him alive as a pitcher. And maybe the move to the bullpen helps him out with getting some more strikeouts. That has now dropped to the bottom 37% in the league, just 21% of the time. His walk rate has jumped up to 9.6. I mean, percent of the time. That's not very good. So let's get this, walk to strikeout ratio fixed a little bit for Hicks, and maybe he'll have some effectiveness in this bullpen coming down the stretch for the Giants. We did have a little bit of drama here in the 9th inning, and it centered around Camilo Doval again. And it's been really chaotic having him at the back end of games recently, and it just doesn't seem like this is going to stop anytime soon. Duvall gives up a base hit right away to Toglia. Then Cave singles to right. Jake Cave, man, not a very household name. I didn't even know who this guy was until like a couple series ago when he was just beating up on the Giants in Colorado. Does his best to swing at the Giants here in the ninth inning again and delivers a single, puts runners at the corners with nobody out, and Duvall is all of a sudden in trouble with the tying run on base. Ground ball to Brett Wisely, though, although he was deep in the hole over the second base bag and too deep to get the out at home, he and Fitzgerald both went for the ball, so no one covered the base. Brett Wisely tries to run to second to step on the base and throw over to first to get the double play, but realizes he doesn't have the time to get to second and get that out. So he fires over to first, gets the sure out for the first out of the inning, but allows that run from third to score. And now the Rockies have the game-tying run in scoring position, and it's 5-4 in the top of the ninth and only one out. And Camilo Doval reaches back and gets a strikeout against Sam Hilliard, buried a couple really, really, really good sliders. And he was able to get out of this one, finish this game off, get the save. Let's move the Camilo Doval saves counter bobblehead over to his 88th career save. Yeah, if you got it, move it. So Doval has been pretty solid this year, but it's at points. But recently, it's been a lot of this where he'll give up a run when the Giants have a couple run lead, and he'll kind of squeak out of it. I mean, in the beginning of the year, he was putting runners on and he was escaping before surrendering that run. Lately, though, he has not been able to pull off the Houdini act and get out of trouble without getting beat up a little bit. So Doval, again, gives up another run today. That ERA keeps on creeping up for Camilo Doval. It's now up to 4.39, and that is not something you want to see from your all-star closer. And Camilo Doval, an all-star as recently as last season. It's been tough sledding for him this year, man. And mechanically, mentally, he looks off in both areas. I mean, the arm slot seems to change from pitch to pitch, which that's not something we've seen from Camilo Doval before. That's not mechanically sound at all. But today was good enough for a win. The Giants complete the 4-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies, and now their record sits at 53-55, and we are just 2 days away from the MLB trade deadline. Do the Giants sell? Do the Giants buy? We will see. They only got, we've said it before. I'll say it again. The one thing they can't do is stand pat and do absolutely nothing. I need this team to either go in and buy a team controllable bat for the next couple seasons, or I need them to sell these veterans that aren't coming back. Michael Conforto, Blake Snell, guys like that. Those are your two options. That's it. Don't stand pat. Don't go trade for a guy like AJ Pollock again. But nonetheless, the Giants, they do have a shot. They won't be able to get to 500 before the trade deadline, because I don't think that they'll be able to finish that game on Tuesday before the deadline arrives. However, it's 2 days away. It's on July 30th. And the Giants could be sitting, if they win tomorrow, 1 game below 500. You could assume by the end of the day, on the day of the trade deadline, the Giants have a good shot at getting back to 500. The never-ending climb continues, but they do play the Oakland A's, or the soon-to-be Sacramento A's, as we should say, in the end of the Bay Bridge series on Monday and Tuesday. RIP the Bay Bridge series, man. The A's doing everything they can to ruin baseball in the Bay Area, but the Giants still holding it down, and they will continue to hold it down for years to come. We got to take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. On the other side, more to talk about. Erik Miller was great. This offense, though, we got to dive into what they did today and a little bit more metrics on that as well. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget. They do all the shopping for you, and it's the easiest way to update your wardrobe this season. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And they send 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. I keep what works and send back the rest. My stylist always sends just right pieces, and the fit is always on point. It's like they have style ESP. I don't know how they do it, but they just get me. Stitch Fix is always so easy. I don't like to shop, and they save me all that time and effort. Plus, I get outfits that make me look good and feel really good too. And if you don't love something, just send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Takes the stress completely out of it. Style that makes you look as good as you feel. Get started today at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of signing up. Offer does not include kids fixes. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Engel, and the Giants today, they pull out a win, finish off the sweep against the Colorado Rockies, 4-game sweep of the Rockies with the doubleheader yesterday. And the Giants, their offense really delivered today. They were very, very solid at the dish. It was great. I mean, they 13 hits is definitely something to take note of. This is a team that in the last couple of days has been able to find some I guess rhythm at the plate a little bit, but every time this team starts to get rolling, they do something to make you not believe. And today, they're giving us a little bit more hope. So the Giants were able to pull off the sweep. I said at the end of last night's show, I expected the Giants to let us all down because that's what they've done all season. They get your hopes up, and then they do something to make you remember that this team is an average team in baseball, maybe slightly below average. They're a 500 team. Their roster is not a 500 roster. I think their roster on paper looks much better than that, but they haven't been able to stay consistent all year long. Jorge Soler, we got to give him some credit because he had another 3-hit day for the Giants, and he has now risen his batting average up to 240. He's been pretty solid lately. He's been drawing a lot of walks, although he didn't today, and he's been swinging at balls way out of the strike zone a lot less. And again, something that we've said a few days ago that really resonated again today. If Jorge Soler has a good first at bat of the game, then it resonates with him for the rest of this one. And he had an okay first at bat. He wasn't swinging at pitches too far out of the zone. He didn't wasn't a very productive at bat, but it wasn't a terrible at bat where he's swinging at sliders that would have hit a guy in the left side of the batter's box. He's actually locked in and seeing the ball pretty well, and you can kind of tell just by watching this guy's first at bat if it's going to be a good day for him or not. And today it was. Scored a run, had an RBI on that ground rule double. This guy, all he does is hit doubles. I mean, he's Mr. Double himself. His 23rd double of the season. He's been pretty solid in this leadoff spot. I like him there a lot more than I did at the beginning of the season. It's weirdly enough, this guy just can't hit with the bases loaded. He has one bases loaded hit all year long, and it was a grand slam. So Soler in the leadoff spot did a little bit of work for the Giants. Another guy with the 3-hit day today, Matt Chapman, and he had 2 RBIs with that one hit that really broke it open for the Giants. Scored 2, the 2-out base knock after Hill was able to slide into third safely, and McMahon wasn't able to lay down the tag. That was the difference in this one. And Matt Chapman also looking really similar to Jorge Soler's numbers at the plate. He has risen his batting average to 242, OPS at 758. Not the OPS that you want to hear for a Matt Chapman or a Jorge Soler. Definitely not what Giants fans were hoping that they would do when they signed him in this offseason. But nonetheless, they have been trending up, and that's been a good thing for the Giants. Obviously, they just won 4 games in a row. Mind you, that is coming off of a 2-5 road trip, which was not very good out of the All-Star break. And the Giants, I mean, they're going to have a chance to make a second half run. I mean, that third wild card spot is still within reach. But do you sell your prospects just to be in that wild card slot? Who knows? Nonetheless, Conforto, also another guy we got to make note of, and Hill as well. Hill filled in center field as Ramos was out today. Hill picked up 2 hits and an RBI knock. Also had that nice slide into third base. Hill also had a triple today. He looked pretty good out there in center field as well. He's another serviceable outfielder that can make a guy like Michael Conforto dispensable. And I think hopefully this little 2-hit day with a run and a walk maybe boosts Conforto's trade value just a little bit. But I really don't know or expect the Giants to get much back for a guy who's batting 225 on the season and has a 710 OPS and is not an everyday player. It gets platooned a lot and doesn't can't hit, pitchers from, lefties and righties pretty well. He's pretty much just a one. He gets platooned all the time. He's a lefty at the plate, and he pretty much only faces right-handed pitching. He's not the best against lefties. So Conforto, we'll see how much longer he's a Giant. By the way, I also thanks David in the chat, man. I totally screwed that up earlier. The A's and Giants start their game on Tuesday. Start the Babe Ruth series on Tuesday. It's an off day tomorrow on Monday. My bad, hand up. That one's on me. E for Triple E. Well, it was only one E, not three of them today. So that, if you listen to used to listen to Murph and Mac, you know that's a good day for me when I'm only getting one and not three. So the Giants pick up 13 hits today. The Giants also 0 errors. Speaking of errors, Giants had none today. Defense played pretty well. No more drop and fly balls in the outfield at the warning track. And surprisingly, that helps you win some games. Shocker. When you catch the ball when it's hit to you, good things happen. So the Giants have been okay defensively, minus those weird outfield fly ball drops that Ramos was a part of, both of them, one with Yaz, one with Matos. Both of those situations were not great, but nonetheless worked out. On the other side, got to take a quick break here, but on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit more about this bullpen, what they did today, go through some bullpen notes as well. The Giants wrap up this series against Colorado today, and now with the win, sit at 53 and 55, and trade deadline looming. So Giants have some things to explore. We'll see what they do at the deadline. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll be right back. On the other side, we're going to talk about this bullpen and what they did today, what this Giants pitching staff did in this series that this team has never done before in franchise history. I'll explain on the other side. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Ingle. We'll be right back. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is jam-packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. And did I mention it's free? Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Ingle, and today the Giants finish off the sweep against the Colorado Rockies. And we should also mention it was Jung-Hoo Lee bobblehead day. I made sure to go on out there and get myself the Jung-Hoo Lee bobblehead. Look at this guy. This guy's pretty cool. He's in mid-swing. If you're getting the podcast version and not on the YouTube channel, he's like watching. It's like mid-swing, the bat's up in the air, and he's just like watching a fly ball sail over the right field fence. And that's supposed. I'm hoping that he's going to have a lot next season. I mean, he's not a guy who's going to have a lot of home runs, but he's going to run into a few. He's got great bat-to-ball skills. Dude is going to have a lot of doubles and triples here at Oracle Park. Was really looking forward to watching this guy play in a Giants uniform this season, and that is still one of the most devastating injuries that this team has had, and that's something worth noting because this guy was on track to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation, on track to maybe be in the All-Star conversation for center fielders if he kept hitting the way he was. I mean, the batting average was not reflective of how well he was actually hitting, and it was going to start correcting. Those numbers were going to start looking a little more how they should with how hard he was hitting the ball off the bat, and all the advanced metrics said that batting average was going to correct and jump up at some point in time that season if Jung-Hoo Lee kept going down the same path that he was going. Plus the glove in the outfield, the arm in the outfield, man, oh man, I miss watching that guy play baseball. But he'll be back next season in the orange and black, and we'll get out there and see him as a Giant eventually. But today, we still got to remember that he was out there on the team. So Jung-Hoo Lee bobblehead day, that was nice. But also, the Giants bullpen did something, not just the bullpen, but the entire pitching staff over this 4-game series that the Giants have never done as a franchise, and that was they've never struck out this many guys in a 4-game series before. I mean, Kyle Harrison with the 11 punchies by himself on Friday night, and then you had Blake Snell with 15 yesterday in the first half of the doubleheader, and then in the second leg of it, you have Birdsong with 8, and then you have the bullpen today combined for 11, and the bullpen was tagging on some strikeouts in those other games as well. So the Giants just mowing down the Rockies at the dish. I mean, so many of these outs have come via the strikeout, and that really shows you how filthy the stuff that this Giants pitching staff has. Not just the starters, but the bullpen too. And yeah, they did get touched up a little bit today. 4 runs, but they had 9 innings of work to do out there. It was Jordan Hicks is one of his first games in the bullpen in a very, very, very long time. And he looked shaky out of the bullpen. It's going to take him some time to get used to warming up out there instead of before the game again. I mean, he shifted so well into being a starter, and now they're going to ask him to shift back to being in the bullpen. It's a lot to ask of a guy in a short period of time to rework his entire routine, getting ready for playing professional baseball in just a couple months from each other. I mean, just about a month ago, he was getting ready as a starter, and now he's working as a reliever out of the pen. So hopefully he settles into that role, a role that he has been in plenty of times before in the past with the St. Louis Cardinals. So this Giants team, though, the one thing that you can count on going forward is that they know how to get strikeouts at the plate. I mean, they are so solid with getting swings and miss when they needed it. Look at Camilo Noval in the 9th inning when they needed that strikeout. He got it. It's about now translating that into, with these young guys, pitching with your brain as much as you are with your arm. And we talk about that a lot with guys like Kyle Harrison, who just have electric stuff and lean on that stuff a little bit more than they rely on their brain. And what I mean by that is they aren't doing the heady stuff, the heady veteran stuff where they're holding runners on and getting guys picked off. Shout out Hayden Birdsong last night, picking out Tovar. That was a very heady veteran-ish move. And they, sometimes pitching to contact and getting a ground ball out and saving your arm on that strikeout for being able to go a little bit deeper in the game isn't a bad choice. Just look at Logan Webb and what he's done with that philosophy in his career. He made an all-star team this season and had finished second in Cy Young voting last year. It's worked out pretty well for him so far. So a lot of these guys, once they start to develop the veteran brain behind all this electricity that they have just shooting out of their hand, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. This pitching staff is very young. A lot of these guys are going to be here for a while. Guys like Erik Miller, guys like Randy Rodriguez, who had a nice outing today. I mean, you have a lot of options in this bullpen. I mean, Spencer Bivens on the older side, but great story for the Giants this year. He gave up a couple hits in this one. Taylor Rogers, again, another very solid outing for him. He had a 3 strikeout inning. His ERA is down to 2.16, very quietly having a super solid year for the Giants. I mean, we all know that Tyler Rogers has been really good using high leverage situations, but Taylor Rogers, man, he needs some credit as well. So it was a solid win today for the Giants. Duvall made it a little interesting there at the end, but he picked up his 20th save of the season, got it done, escaped with the win. And the Giants went 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. That's batting 300. We aren't ever going to knock them when they bat 300 with runners in scoring position. It's much better than this team has done pretty much all season long. Although they did leave 12 on base, that's not great. But again, when you have 13 hits and a walk, and you get 14 base runners, you can afford to leave a runner or 2 on base in that batting average with runners in scoring position becomes a little bit less important, because if you get more opportunities, you obviously don't need to convert on as many of them in order to put some runs on the board. But the Giants did it today, got out of Oracle Park with a win. Off day tomorrow. Don't listen to me from 15 minutes ago. No Giants game tomorrow. Off day tomorrow. They start the Bay Bridge series on Tuesday. They don't play again before this trade deadline is here. So we'll see what happens. I said yesterday, I hope the Giants trade Blake Snell and guarantee that they retain some talent from signing Blake Snell into next season, because he very well, if let's say he pitches how he's been pitching for the rest of the season, the Giants hold on to him. He's not re-signing and coming back here. He's not picking up that player option and coming back for year 2. He is hitting that market. He's got Scott Boras as his agent. And the name of the game with Scott Boras is how much money can I make? And he's going to make a lot more money than picking up that player option and coming back here for the second year. He'll be able to sign like a multi-year guaranteed deal worth much more than just next year's salary. So I hope that they trade Snell and are able to retain some of this talent. I do know that they are close to being in playoff contention again. I know that they're right there for that third wild card spot. I don't want to hold on to a rental just for a wild card berth. With the Giants, it is World Series or bust. A wild card berth, hate to tell you, ain't a World Series win. We'll see what happens at the trade deadline. We will talk about it ad nauseum, I'm sure, once we come back. Off day tomorrow, coming back to you after Giants A's on Tuesday, the Bay Bridge series at Oracle Park. It's going to bring up some nostalgia, and frankly, it's going to make me sad and frustrated because the A's are a part of the fabric of baseball and sports in the Bay Area, and they should stay in Oakland. They should stay in the Bay. I don't know what the hell a team is doing going to Sacramento. I mean, you really do. I don't want to go play a baseball game in Sacramento in the summer. I can't imagine any professional baseball player who has any sort of expectations to be treated like a professional is going to want to go play in 115-degree heat on turf in a stadium that holds less than 10,000 people. So that's going to be an experiment next year. We'll see how that goes when the A's share their home stadium in Sacramento with the Sacramento River Cats. We'll see how that goes for them. That's all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Erik Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.